Hi, I'm Danny Pond, and this is my second YouTube video, and because I'm already out of ideas on what to do on YouTube, I've decided that I'm going to tell everybody a deep, dark confession of mine. Now, I know it may not look like it, but the truth is, I am a fan of Limp Bizkit. Yeah, I know. Everybody loves to hate them. They're like one of the internet's favourite punching bags, and I get it. I get it. They kind of do suck, but also hear me out. I think they're a lot of fun at the same time. And because of that, I'm willing to give a fair amount of their music a pass. I think a lot of critics online are a little overly snooty about it and just can't seem to enjoy the good that is there, because I do believe there is some good there. So today I thought it'd be good to make a Limp Bizkit tier list. Now, one thing I do want to get right off the bat is that I know Fred Durst sucks. His lyrics are awful for the most part. And that does make me feel somewhat sorry for the rest of the band, who I think are actually quite talented in their own ways, but unfortunately it seems to have been lumped in with Fred because, well, he's the face of the band. I really wish that Fred would put more effort into his lyrics a lot of the times. He is, without a doubt, the weakest part of the band, for sure. Now, I don't know if anyone in this band has been cancelled for horrible stuff they may have said or done, either in real life or online. I've never really looked into that, so leave a comment and feel free to educate me if any of these people turn out to be complete monsters. So here I've been able to find one of those tier list thingies. It's got all the Limp Bizkit stuff on there. I won't be doing everything on here. I'll mainly be focusing on the main studio albums, but the first one is $3 Bill Y'all. I think this is probably one of the best albums they've ever done, and I think it's the only one where Fred particularly tried, sadly. He does have a lot of cringy moments, with that said. He isn't perfect. The key word is tried. He tried. But there are a lot of things I do like about it. It's very raw. It sounds like it was recorded in like a garage, and I love that sort of, chaotic production style, like everyone get in here, let's record this quickly over a weekend, I think those create some truly lightning in a bottle moments, and to some degree this album it does that. I think it does that. So also, the Faith cover is really quite amusing. If I had any criticisms, it ends on some like weird shout out song thing. Like that's one of the final tracks. I forget what it's called. And also a lot of the lyrics, I don't know whether Fred intended for this, but a lot of them kind of seem misogynistic. He's always complaining about women. The cringy moments do come into the focus sometimes. At the end of Pollution, which is one of the earlier tracks, Fred won't stop screaming words, and there's this like fake argument that goes on. It's kind of cringe. I like to pretend that part of the track doesn't exist. I think I'm willing to put this album probably B tier list. It's up there. It's a fun album. I do like it, and I think it's one of the better ones. I love the chaotic energy it has, but it does ultimately suffer from Fred being Fred. So the second album we've got is Significant Other, and this is where I imagine they got a producer, because it certainly sounds like they got a producer. The tracks are all given a nice production shine, I guess, a modern production shine. A lot of the clunky bits of $3 Bill Y'all are definitely ironed out in Significant Other. Fred surprisingly still has occasional moments of talent, but this is the start of him also giving up. it feels like this is the start of Fred being lazy, and some of the songs definitely show that. Show Me What You've Got is one of the worst tracks on this album, and I've seen Limp Bizkit live a couple of times, and they did actually play this song live, and I feel like it's such a missed opportunity, because if you're going to just do a song where you're just doing shout-outs to places, at least change the lyrics for the places you go to. If you're playing in England, look up some English towns and cities or something, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and rewrite the lyrics. We all know that you spent, like, probably an hour on those fucking lyrics for that song. With that said, this album's got a lot of solid tracks. It's got Nookie, it's got Break Stuff. I do like Broke as well. I'm Broke, I think it's called. There's also Jonathan Davis on this album in a collaboration. You've also got collaborations with... What rappers were there? Oh shit, I've forgotten. Don't look that up. One thing I've also noticed is that, again, the lyrics seem to be focused on women a lot of the time. I don't know why that is. It seems to be slightly more mature about it in this album, kind of. But also not really. But you feel that there's some emotional hurt in this album, maybe, rather than $3 Bill Y'all, which is just kind of unbridled rage. I do think Break Stuff is very relevant nowadays. It feels like everybody sucks and everything fucks. What's the lyric? The lyric is everything is fucked, everybody sucks, and I think that's kind of relevant. I do think that's kind of relevant. It's a good lyric to shout. In all, I'll probably give this one another B tier. It's up there for different reasons. You've got some great hits on there as well. You've got Break Stuff. that alone kind of puts it up there. You know, that the simplicity of that song really shines, and it's probably one of the best Limp Bizkit songs. And I think they probably know that. So the next album, this one's a tough one. This one's really tough. Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavoured Water. Now, it feels like everybody gives up for this album. It feels like everybody's kind of resting quite heavily on their laurels. It feels maybe they just weren't given enough time to make an album. But despite this, somehow, whenever I've seen them live, the vast majority of the songs they play are from this album. And goddamn, they slap when you hear him live, you know. I think the problem is that this is the peak of Fred being completely unbearable. I think he was at the height of his fame, and he never really turned it down, like the immaturity, the stupidity. He only seemed to play into that. And Fred's lyrics are without a doubt, the worst part of this album. It's in a very strange space of like and dislike, because it feels like the band's on total autopilot. It feels like the band's on total autopilot. Why can't I say that word? It feels like the band is on total autopilot. And that is a shame. That is a shame, because it feels like with extra work, these tracks could have been potentially even better. Maybe Fred would maybe try to wind down some of the swearing. So just please, you know, we get it. You can say fuck a lot. Yeah, we get it. We got it. Thank you, Fred. This album still has hits on it though. Despite that, you've got Take a Look Around, that Mission Impossible one. That is a banger. I do like that one. I do like Living It Up, the one that samples Life in the Fast Lane. That might be a controversial take. I've heard some people absolutely hate that song, but hey, I like it. It's got My Way, which is a great song. I am going to put it in C. It's not as good as the first two, despite it having a lot of the fan favourite songs on it. It just represents a time that it feels like the band were giving up and splitting apart, and ultimately that came true as well, because Wes left the band, and that leads us to the next album. However, before we get onto that, I am going to briefly talk about this one here. It's Old New Songs, it's a remix album. Let's just go ahead and put that right there, because I have never heard such a pile of garbage in my life. When you compare this to, say, what's a good remix album? Reanimation by Linkin Park. When you compare this to that, it doesn't even come close. It's so lazy. You've got Linkin Park who clearly put a lot of effort into this remix album, Reanimation. It's a remix of Hybrid Theory. Check it out, totally 100%. It's a great album. You know, they rewrote verses, there's all this creativity piled into it. In this, basically, they just took the vocal tracks, they lifted them straight up, and just plonked them on these lazy beats. This album is completely worthless, and there is absolutely, objectively, nothing good with it. Moving on to Results May Vary. Fred is kind of in charge of the band now with the departure of Wes Borland, and as a result, this album is confused as fuck. It sucks dick. It really does. Fred tries a lot of new stuff. This was a time when nu metal was sort of going out of favour. You've got bands like Deftones, you know, straying away from the original nu metalish sound of their first two albums, and you know, with White Pony they branched out into a lot of different genres, and for Deftones it really worked out. For Limp Bizkit it did not work out, and this album is way too long. If Fred was to just basically take the tracks that are terrible and put those in the recycle bin and then emptied the recycle bin, this could have possibly been an okay album had he done that. But no, there's very little to redeem here. Also, Behind Blue Eyes, it blows my mind that was made. It legitimately does. I am mind blown that nobody told Fred, dude, this sucks. Don't do this. Even though it's got a couple of decent tracks, ironically one of them being about creeping on a girl, so even then, nowadays, it hasn't particularly aged well. Eat You Alive does sound creepy nowadays. I'm going to just go ahead and put this down there. Obviously, it shows a slight more modicum of effort than Old New Songs, but god damn. God damn, what a flop. The next album is The Unquestionable Truth Part 1. This one, they kind of ape Rage Against the Machine, and you know what, I don't hate it. I like it. I like, as you've maybe seen, I like the heavy Limp Bizkit, you know, I like the heavier albums, and for Fred to ditch the immaturity and attempt to do something more serious, I don't mind that effort. You know what, this album is a lot better than Results May Vary, for sure. With that said, it's short. It's way too short. I think Wes Borland came back for this album, but I don't know what happened. I guess they ran out of studio time or something. Also, on top of that, I never knew this album existed for the longest time, which is weird. It's like they just didn't promote it or something. I don't get it. It's nice to see a return of Wes Borland to the band. He brings back these heavy, crunchy riffs that I feel are quite integral to the Limp Bizkit sound, and I do like that the production puts those quite forefront and centre. It feels like with Significant Other and Chocolate Starfish, the guitars were somewhat betrayed in the mix, and it's nice to see them get a bit of a spotlight in this album. I think I'm going to put it at C. Not every track's perfect, but they show intent and they try, which is more than a lot of the other albums. They show intent and they try, which is more than they did for Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavoured water. So, Go Cobra. Fred still sucks. That's the first thing to mention about this album, is that I guess he decided to ditch the Rage Against the Machine style and go back to his old ways, and it's a little sad. I do also get it. The problem is that at this point, Limp Bizkit was fast becoming a joke. You know, we've got the rise of social media around this time. I think it was like 2011. We've got a lot of people talking shit about Limp Bizkit online, I'm sure, at that point. I do think it's nice that they took a lot of the production style of Unquestionable Truth and sort of put it in this album, even if Fred regressed. It's nice to have the crunchy riffs in the foreground. Overall, not the best album. There's no real hit in this album. The songs almost bleed into one another almost. That one about the shotgun's not too bad. Again, Fred's lyrics are just, dude, you didn't even try. You didn't even try. So they were fast becoming a jerk, and they don't seem to understand that they are a jerk at this point, and it still feels like they're trying to be legitimate. For that reason, I have to put this kind of at D tier. I kind of liked it when it came out, but in retrospect, it hasn't aged well because Fred didn't try anything new, and none of the tracks really stand out all that much. So at this point, we've got a weird era of Limp Bizkit because I think they go to Lil Wayne's record label for some reason, but they only did like one track or two tracks. They did like a cover of Ministry's Thieves, which it's a staple at their live shows. I do like that. And then they did Ready to Go, which was alright, I guess. I don't know what to say. Like, felt like they were beginning to play into the fact that they're a bit of a jerk, which was nice to see. However, this was also the period of Limp Bizkit where members of the band had quit one week and then jumped back in the next week. You have a million albums planned. I swear they planned like part 2 of Unquestionable Truth. That never happened. I swear there was another one called Stampede of the Disco Elephants. I could be wrong about that, but that never happened. But finally, we've come onto an album called Still Sucks. Now, to begin with, that's a great name. Well done on that name. That is a good name. I appreciate that name. They're finally in on the joke. Holy crap. They finally realised that they're a cornball fest, and they kind of play into it, and that I also appreciate. This album's got some good tracks on it. Got the production style of Gold Cobra and Unquestionable Truth still, but it feels like just the small change of the fact that they're not trying to be serious now. They're in on the joke. Just that small change elevates this album so much. I'm going to give it another C tier. There are some duds. Fred's still awful. I don't know what to say about that. The band is in this horrible situation where they're nothing without Fred, and Fred's nothing without them. Kinda sucks, huh? So thank you for watching. I hope this entertained somewhat. Please tell me how I am wrong in the comments. Tell me exactly how wrong I am. I'm sure I'm very wrong. But yeah, I've come out as a Limp Bizkit fan today. Not the best band in the world, but I enjoy their music, and you know what? I might go see them live again sometime. In the meantime, please play my video game, play Spider-Bro, and I will see you in another video that I have no idea what's going to be about, but we'll find out.